Getting the merge done, I think that's been the biggest challenge for a long time. It's a big problem. It's a problem that research has been working on for like almost a decade now. It's a problem that developers have been working on for several years, and like now, finally testing, finally getting quite close to actually getting it out there. So I think the merge is going to be this big moment that the entire Ethereum ecosystem is really looking at and focusing on, and people have a lot of big hopes and expectations for. Yeah, I mean, I think scaling is, like, aside from the merge, definitely Ethereum's biggest problem at the moment. And there are a lot of like different projects that are working to fix it. So there are the layer 2 teams, for example. Optimism, Arbitrum, Metis, Starknet, ZK Sync, Loopring, like this longer and longer list of projects. Then on top of that, there's all of the work that's been happening on sharding. We just had an online workshop where we talked about like some parts of the sharding spec, and there's been a lot of really good progress on that. And I think there's a lot of community will to put a huge amount of effort into it. Research effort starting now, but development effort once the merge is kind of closer to being finished, and we're past that step. Then all the eyes are going to turn on to sharding and giving us some more scalability. So I'm confident that Ethereum is going to be much more scalable a year from now than it is today. And even Ethereum today, I think rollups are much further ahead than they were a year ago. Right, like a year ago, doing anything on a rollup was basically unrealistic, and they barely existed. And now, rollups are just a regular part of people's lives on Ethereum. Definitely a concern. I think there's many different kinds of concerns. I think the software bug issue was definitely one concern, and it's definitely one of the reasons why I'm very dangerous or very cautious about solutions that try to move really quickly. There's other concerns as well, for example, just all of the issues around how would the bridge even work? If it's a multi-sig, then could people steal the keys? If it has a governance token, could people take over the governance token? Could people even 51% attack one of the chains? I do think that once you start going between chains, there are all of these really complicated issues that don't exist if you stick on any one of the chains, and that is a concern. The problems with moving between rollups, for example, are definitely smaller. I think the bridges are an interesting position where the way that I describe it is they have anti-network effects, in that I think cross-chain bridges become less secure the more users they have. And so if there are only a few people using them, then I would trust them. I would say that they're very safe. But the more people start using them, the more incentive there is for people to attack them, so they can steal money from all the users at the same time. So I would feel more comfortable using the bridges when they have 50,000 ETH in them than when they have 500,000 or 5 million, right? So I definitely expect them to continue to be used, but are they going to be this really big thing that turns assets into something that's very independent from which layer they're issued on? I would say no. This is the Nathan Schneider and 7 Stories were kind enough to make this kind of lovely, compilation of all of the all of the best essays, I would say, that I've written over the last basically 8 years or so since Ethereum started. So it's I definitely recommend it. If you if you want to have a chance to kind of read everything and see the progression of thinking around Ethereum and how the way that we think about things has changed over the years, and the kinds of issues that we've grappled with. I think it's definitely lovely. Yeah, that stuff's definitely getting a little crazy. I think my view on this is if you're if the truckers are blocking the roads and that's breaking the economy, fine, blocking the roads is illegal and there's laws against that. But if they're not willing to actually, follow the processes, or if the government is not willing to follow the processes, follow the laws, give people a chance to defend themselves, and all of those things, and they just want to talk to the banks and basically cut out people's financial livelihoods without due process. Honestly, yeah, that is an example of the sort of thing that that decentralized technology is there to make more difficult. So it's also a good example of how it is definitely like it's not about like being lawless, right? It's always about bringing rule of law back, right? Like they can still you can still go at find people, you can still go after people, you can still go just act. The government and police can act lawfully as they always have. This concept of going after intermediaries and basically using intermediaries as a way to bypass all that, it is dangerous. And I do think that having decentralized alternatives to intermediaries is a good way to limit the damage that this kind of dependence on intermediaries can do.